Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. Welcome to Amran's book reading. I'm here to share with you some of the books that I've enjoyed and also books where I've benefited from. I'll be covering these books from the start to the end, and I will be using some animated virtual assistants to actually do the reading of the book. And usually after they've read a certain section, then I will get back to you with my thoughts and my reflection. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this book. And I'd like to remind you, however, that these are all my opinion only. And you're free to agree or disagree with my opinion, my reflections about what is being read. But again, like I said, I hope you enjoy yourself, and I hope truly that you will also benefit from these books. So let's start with our first virtual assistant.
Preface. Until as it were yesterday, it would have been impossible to publish this book, in spite of the fact that the materials which it contains have been an organic part of Eastern practical philosophy study for countless centuries. The reason is that the highly articulate of both the East and West have generally been in the grip of the belief that only a certain kind of organized thought can be used for learning. The fact is, however, that all the precedents, all the books, all the traditions which have produced the great thinkers of the past in the Orient, show almost no trace of what is today believed to be organization. If you were to ask a traditional Eastern sage for his system, he would look at you as a modern physician would, if you ask for his panacea for all ills. He might invite you to apply to a cellar of nostrums on a fairground. He would certainly diagnose you as a primitive who had still to learn the first lesson about knowledge. Any inspection of specialist literature on Eastern thinkers in their schools will show the ludicrous situation that the materials available have been more and more closely examined, more and more carefully arranged, in an increasingly mechanical form, not unaccompanied by puzzled mutterings, and the products have become less and less. This fact has been succinctly put by those who remark that scholars desire to study mystics, but mystics never need to study scholars. Fortunately, in places and in circles, which have escaped the modishness of a demand for oversimplification or rigid system, where it has been realized that essential need is to seek, preserve and transmit knowledge, the manner of prescribing studies for individuals and groupings in accordance with teaching requirements alone has been continuously maintained. With the current dying out of the least useful type of arid-minded pedants, who have succeeded only in giving scholasticism its undeservedly bad odor, the pendulum is swinging back. This book contains, arranged in a manner commanded by the tradition, and not by the superficially obsessional arranging, the materials belonging to the Sufi teaching, selected in accordance with the needs of the time. It might be termed applied specific experientialism. The very widespread welcome of earlier volumes of similar material, from both academic and other circles, indicates that there is a taste for it, and perhaps a use. Idries Shah.
I'll start my reflection by making the observation that the French philosopher Jacques Ellul wrote in 1964 in his book, The Technological Society. In that book, Ellul actually classifies organization as part of technology or technique, calls it. And along with that organization, according to Ellul, comes something else, and that is standardization. In his own words, I quote, standardization means resolving in advance all problems that might possibly impede the functioning of an organization. It is not a matter of leaving it to inspiration, ingenuity, or even intelligence to find a solution at the moment some difficulty arises. It is rather in some way to anticipate both the difficulty and its resolution. From then on, standardization creates impersonality in the sense that organization relies more on methods and instructions than on individuals. Unquote. So this book, Thinkers of the East, Idries Shah tries to actually compare the modern way of organizing teaching and learning. And he basically argues that in the modern way of teaching and learning, there is a superficialist obsessional arranging of things according to what I guess you would describe as organization, and with that comes a standardization of methods and approaches. That means that you take out, basically when you have standardization, you take out the human element of inspiration, ingenuity, or even intelligence. We try to preempt what possible difficulties we'll have in the teaching and learning process. And then we also try to come up with the possible solutions before they actually happen. There's no time for intuition, no time for intuitive thinking or immediate ingenuity, for creativity, and so on at the moment that the problem arises. The solution must already be there before the problem even arises. So the human element is taken out of it. So what happens today is that in much of modern learning and teaching, there is a slavish, if you like, rigid. Uh, so what happens in modern teaching and learning today is that there is a slavish following of procedures which has been set down beforehand. And these procedures may include things like there is a clear outline for the students to know what's in it for them. And also teacher is expected to tell them what it is. And also not only that, also what they will go through, the stages of the learning processes, even the assessment. Sometimes even the assessment, it's supposed to come with the answers. So that's how modern learning and teaching has become, has progressed so far. Progress, of course, in inverted commas. So this is ridiculous. When in the East, it has never been like that. And that is why if Idries Shah wrote in his preface that if you were to ask a traditional Oriental teacher, all right, for his system of teaching and learning, all right, he will look at you like a nutcase, right? So yeah, so traditional thinkers do not have that kind of a slavish imitation of a particular system of teaching and learning. It is very much an intuitive thing. It is very much something which involves the human element. So for this reason, if many of these traditional thinkers, their methods and their ways are actually not understood by modern students and modern teachers. So what this book is about is actually to show through many teaching stories and compilations and other compilations from traditional teaching sources. All right, and then through this, we hope that the student, the modern student who is used to what he has been exposed to for much of his life up to this point, will actually think about how he has been learning, right, and whether actually what the way that he has got, but whatever methods or whatever rigid system that he has gone through is actually the best method for him. So I hope that has sort of laid the ground for the future exposition of this book. All right, so this is a preface. So we'll go on next to the first chapter of the book. We look forward to you joining us there.